Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this post-pay-per-view edition of Dad's on Wrestling.
Yes.
I am the Renegade of Wrestling, J.J. Williams.
And you are wearing a very conflicting outfit over here. You've got your NWA Championship Wrestling from Hollywood t-shirt, which we all know the NWA loves TNA and vice versa right now. We all know that Battleground loves the NWA period. You've got the Battleground belt on your shoulder. And you're wearing a Long Beach Holding Company hat, which has nothing to do with either yet.
I will explain all of that in due time.
Yes.
Long Beach Clothing Company should be no explanation needed.
No,
that's our
right.
sponsor. So.
That's right. However, we are here to talk about what we promised on Thursday's show. No, it was a preview show earlier this week, whatever it was. Destination X was moments.
Right up on Saturday.
Thank you, Saturday's show. Saturday's episode of Dad's on Wrestling, which we've had about 500 dads this week. So, you know, it's got
two more this coming week.
Two more this coming week. So it's
because there's not going to be a Renegade.
That's right. Yeah, it's kind of like a big My Two Dads marathon.
There you go.
So, you know, just with far less celebrity people than Stacey Keenan and Paul Reiser.
And funnier too.
Very much so.
Or much funnier than those people.
Especially Paul Reiser.
Yeah.
After Mad About You, right even before Mad About You was kind of.
Yeah.
All right.
So
the pay-per-view open was something we saw like maybe the tail end of, if that, because we weren't able to get the show going on time. And I'm going to call them by the names that we know. So forgive me if y'all don't recognize if you only watch TNA.
And if you don't know these names, shame on you, because that's part of what Renegade of Wrestling is here for, is to educate you on the indie scene.
That's right.
Go ahead.
So watch next Tuesday's show.
Yeah. If there is one.
If there is one, we'll see. Scorpio Sky won the last chance fatal four-way to determine the final qualifier for the tournament for the X Division Championship.
Defeated Jigsaw, Johnny Yuma, and Dakota Darso.
Yes, that's right. And from what I was told was a barn burner of a match. And then Sky had about 20 seconds of rest before Kid Motherfucking Cash came running down the ramp, decided to start the opening match in the tournament. And Sky, with the big surprise, he got the roll-up. Cash went for a DDT or something. I missed what it was because it was the
feed was glitching.
The feed was still glitching. Yeah, sorry about that. But Sky with the roll-up gets the 1, 2, 3, and moves on to Ultimate X. And right away,
you call this a surprise, but it's not really a surprise to me. I went out there during the prediction show and I said Kid Cash doesn't need this.
He doesn't need it, but
so it was not a surprise to me that whichever guy won the Fatal 4-Way, just so happened to be our buddy Scorpio Sky, ended up defeating Kid Cash.
Well, again, to be fair, I wasn't aware of the knowledge of the tournament brackets either. I did not know who was going to be facing who until they emerged from the curtain.
At TNA Dixie tweeted it.
Why do I pay attention to what Dixie Carter has to say?
Because you do shows on a wrestling channel. We're trying to convince Dat Boy the same stuff. Practice what you preach.
Dixie is nonsensical half the time.
This time she made perfect sense because she told us the brackets.
Okay.
So much so that when the third match of the card happened and Douglas Williams came out, I said, this is going to be fucking awesome. And you're like, who's going to fight him? Who's going to fight him? Just watch. And out comes Kenny King.
Yes.
And you're like, God damn it. This is going to be fucking awesome.
And it was an awesome 10.5-minute match where Kenny King, no surprise in this one. And the reason I say that Sky beating Cash was a surprise, not because I didn't know it was going to be Cash and Sky, but the fact that when you match those two up, in theory, if you're not a fan of the NWA or any of the indie feds out here like we are, you don't see a Mason Andrews, I'm going to use the name, defeating Kid Motherfucking Cash at the end of the day.
But I do, because what the fuck has Kid Motherfucking Cash done on TNA Impact in the last few months?
True.
Go ahead, I'll wait.
Ever since...
I think Scorpio Sky has been on Impact more recently than Kid Cash has.
Well, only because Kid Cash automatically qualified, because I do believe, don't quote me, he's been competing in Ring Car King. So he has been working with TNA, just not what we've seen here on U.S. television. Much like Douglas Williams, much like...
I believe you're wrong about Kid Cash. I don't think he was part of Ring Car King.
Well, then Kid Cash is just being misused. Because Kid Cash is good enough where he should be on TV.
I believe Kid Cash is being shown on the syndicated show Explosion. And that may be where those three came from, was potential qualifying matches on Explosion, which we don't get.
Well, what I was told about the three qualifiers, Douglas Williams, Zema Ion, and Kid Cash, were they were TNA contractor wrestlers that earned their spot because of just being in the X Division. The other...
Which I call shenanigans on.
I do too. Yeah.
There are more deserving TNA X Division wrestlers than Kid Cash, Douglas Williams, and Zema Ion. Let's just throw that out there. One of which was only on the pay-per-view in a run-in segment.
Well, it turned into a match in the first round of the tournament.
Frankie Kazarian.
Well,
Turned into a match
in
the first round of the tournament.
I thought you meant Cash.
No.
Okay.
Frankie Kazarian was nowhere on the card.
No, he shouldn't have been.
He should have been. He could have been in the X Division thing.
No, right now
Could have been a double champion.
Right now he's being Daniel's bitch, and that's the role he's playing.
But he could have been a double champion.
Could have been, but they're not doing it that way. They're making him play Chris
And
Daniels.
that is where they fail.
That is where they fail. You're absolutely right.
That is what I'm trying to say.
Can I do my job now?
You may go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. Sanjay Dutt defeated Rashad Cameron, who we did find out was not Xavier, the second ever Ring of Honor champion, with some guy from Combat Zone Wrestling. I forget his name now in Combat Zone. Forgive me, Rashad. But he lost. We weren't surprised when Sanjay won.
Yeah, Sanjay Dutt I knew was going to win because of his Ring Kakin work.
Yes.
Sanjay Dutt has been detrimental in getting Ring Kakin over in India.
Yes.
So this was basically throwing Sanjay the proverbial bone for helping get them established in the other market.
So right away we had Scorpio Sky, Kenny King, and Sanjay Dutt in the Ultimate X match.
Yes.
And by then we were going, holy shit.
Yeah.
Regardless
and then Zima Ion got put in. We were like, fuck. Can we just get him out of here?
Yeah, and that's what we were hoping for. Was Zima Ion would be the first one eliminated. Unfortunately for all of us, as I skip ahead here, Zima Ion did in fact come out on top of the Ultimate X match thanks to some hairspray shenanigans in the face of Sanjay Dutt after Scorpio and Kenny took each other out with a neckbreaker off the X. My God, that was sick. And then the spot where they were basically having a scaffold match up there between Zima and Sanjay there for a second, and then they tried to climb down, and like I said, the hairspray got involved, and it turned into a bad John Travolta movie for a second there. And then Zima Ion became the new X Division champion.
Earth?
Not that bad.
Look Who's Talking Now?
Look Who's Talking Now was way better than Battlefield Earth, but it still wasn't as bad as Zima Ion winning the championship.
Just naming bad John Travolta
movies. I know.
Grease?
Grease was... Oh, get off my set. Get out of here. I don't care if it's his dad's. Get off my set. Grease was awesome. And you know it. Okay.
Grease was not awesome.
Grease
was the word.
I hear Frankie Valli calling me, but we'll play it later.
That's why I am rocking the championship.
That is why you're the champion. Okay. But yes, shenanigans ensued, and then he dedicated the match to a guy who had come out earlier. And
prior to Zima's
qualifying match, Jesse Sorensen, who came out, we saw him
big glorious return to the Impact Zone.
We saw him 5 months after laying in a heap with paralysis from the neck down. He was walking on the beach with his woman, and then he comes to the Impact Zone and gives a great speech. His woman's crying, his mom's crying, everybody's tearing up. It was a moment, and I agree with you on this, dude. This whole thing of Zima Ion being turned heel in the wake of a legitimate injury, legitimate problem, bullshit.
Yeah. It's like, don't get me wrong, I kind of liked Zima in the beginning. Mm-hmm. He was a standout character. He didn't look like anybody else. He had some flashy moves. I was able to kind of get behind him. Mm-hmm. I actually preferred him to Jesse because Jesse, I thought, was just so cookie cutter, so bland,
very
the token jock.
Yeah, very A-Rod.
Yeah. And then Jesse gets injured, and, everybody starts showing out their sympathies for Jesse, which, granted, the man broke his neck doing what he loved.
Yeah.
I can show some sympathy for him, too.
Yeah.
But I've always had an issue with when they turn a storyline or a legitimate injury into a storyline by turning somebody heel and trying to capitalize on it.
Yeah, it was very...
It's like the whole aura of wrestling is to be in there and take care of your partner. You can't draw money wrestling against a ghost.
No.
You've got to have healthy competition. The guy got injured and you're glad that you hurt him?
Yeah, that's not right.
No phone calls, no sympathy, no show of respect.
Yeah.
Again, I know it's all a storyline, but I think it's dumb when they turn that type of stuff into a storyline.
Yeah, a little bit different the other way around when Mark Bagwell got hurt in '98 when Rick started the Bulldog on him, and Buff got hurt for a while, and then he came back and turned heel with Scotty. He was heel at the time, and then he teased a babyface return, and then he helped Scotty beat up his brother. It was like, okay, that's dumb, because they even said that the WCW, they had the potential big babyface comeback. He could have been a legitimate, like, U.S. champion or anything, and instead he just became another NWO flaky.
Yeah.
Again. And that was so bad. And I even told Mark that to his face. I was like, what the heck? I don't know, man. They booked this crap, not me. Then we had 2 matches, one of which I missed. I was so pissed I missed this, so you're going to have to help me out on the details on this one. Bound for Glory series. Samoa Joe choked out Kurt Angle.
That's right. Instant fucking classic.
Aha.
That's all I have to say about that. And I know that does nothing for you as far as describing the match.
Yeah.
But it's Samoa fucking Joe and Kurt fucking Angle.
All right.
I'm going to just press play here on the side of your head, and you just create a match in your mind.
Okay.
And it's probably some of the shit they did.
Probably not going to be as good as what we saw, yeah.
The match was awesome. It was your standard Angle Joe fare. Both men know each other so well. They were able to counter a lot of their moves. Joe was able to get out of the ankle lock more than once. Angle was able to counter the muscle buster a couple times. But at the end of the day, it was very WrestleMania 13-esque because Angle did not tap. He got choked out.
So I noticed he woke up almost right away and was arguing with the referee.
I didn't tap.
Yeah.
You passed out. Joe ended up with 10 points and is now the leader of the Bound for Glory series by 1 point over Cowboy James Storm.
Now, I have a question to Miss Dixie Carter, since she's tweeting right now. And
at TNA Dixie.
Is very happy with the results of her pay-per-view. Let me ask you this, Miss Carter, if I may. Since AJ Styles defeated Christopher Daniels in a brutal, bloody battle, last man standing match tonight, does AJ have points now in the Bound for Glory series?
It's a very good question because both men are in the series, but it was not billed as a Bound for Glory series match.
And it wasn't a pinfall victory. It wasn't a knockout victory. It was he Styles fucking clashed him off the stage through a table victory.
And I think that's where there's no points involved because it wasn't a pinfall, submission, disqualification, count out.
Nor knockout. Okay. All right. We will see.
There was none of that stuff involved in the match. It was last man standing.
And I'm wondering if it was such a personal vendetta that they decided, you know what, this is bigger than the Bound for Glory series, which it shouldn't be, first of all.
Yeah.
Bound for Glory series is supposed to be the big thing leading into the pay-per-view.
Yeah. This is essentially the King of the Ring tournament with WrestleMania repercussions.
Exactly. So for it to not be a Bound for Glory series match, takes away from that. And I think that's a disappointment. But AJ stands tall for at least 4 more days. Because we all know Daniel's going to come back with more allegations and more BS and more crap. And it's just like, okay, let this end.
Please.
They already ruined it by the fact AJ and Dixie weren't having the affair, and this Claire chick is now pregnant. Apparently AJ's bastard child. And now AJ's vindicated again by putting Daniels through the table and winning, and then it's going to be all for naught in 4 days.
Yeah, there's going to be something else that's going to be revealed to knock AJ back down on his ass.
This is going to come to a head of Bound for Glory, where one is going to be like have to kill the other seriously for them to just go away. It's going to be ridiculous.
Retirement match?
Maybe. I have heard rumblings.
A legitimate one, not one of these, Ric Flair retired, goes to another federation, starts wrestling again.
I had heard rumblings that Daniels was ready to hang it up. I had heard that. That's just, again, hearsay, what I've been hearing.
I've heard that a couple times, though, and well,
And then the
fallen angel always bounces back.
The main event, the surprise of the night for you, honestly, I think, because yes, you did expect Austin Aries to win the match.
I just didn't expect him to get the strap.
Yes, Austin Aries with the counter, and with counter after counter on both sides, the brainbuster in the middle of the ring after a legit kick to the face. My God. Austin Aries is the World Heavyweight Champion in TNA Impact, and it's a great thing. It's awesome to see, and I screamed yes at the top of my lungs. It was amazing to see a guy who I had met 5 years ago at Valve Los Angeles 2007, and had a great couple conversations with that night, actually, for someone who seems very standoffish and makes other people I know demand politeness before they get an autograph type thing. He actually was really cool. There we go. He was very cool with me. He's been cool with me almost every time I've met him, and there has nobody more deserving to be the longest reigning X Division champion in the company's history, and now to be the heavyweight champion of the world.
I agree. I totally agree. Austin Aries on top of the throne is a good thing. He is part of the reason I am rocking the NWA Hollywood t-shirt.
Okay.
As it was, we had Johnny Yuma on the pay-per-view.
Yes.
We had Scorpio Sky on the pay-per-view. Win 2 matches and get into the semi-main event of the night where the X Division matters the most. And then we had Austin Aries, who engaged in a best-of-7 series with Scorpio Sky in NWA Hollywood, become the TNA World Heavyweight Champion.
Tonight somewhere, regardless of whether they've left his company or not, or whether they've, still have good relations or not, somewhere Dave Marquez is smiling right now.
Yes, very much.
His boys ruled the world tonight.
Very much so. And as of this moment, TNA truly is the place where the X Division is carrying the company on their fucking backs.
As they should have
You
been all
have
along, yes.
Austin Aries as the world champion. You have Zema Ion as the X Division champion, where whether we like him or we don't like him, like you made the point earlier in the night, he has been the long-tenured X Division guy that was in that match.
Yeah, because
not Sanjay Dutt, who had been gone for years and made his return, or, for lack of a better term, and no disrespect to Sky or to Kenny King, 2 Baba Ganuchas that were just there to help put talent over. You've got Eric Young, who at this point I believe is still half of the Knockouts Tag Team Champions with ODB. You've got Frankie and Daniels, who are the TNA Tag Team Champions.
Yeah, the only oddball in that is Brooke Tessmacher. At the end of the day, Miss Tessmacher, can't have 2 Brooks, can't do that. Again, she is not the quintessential women's wrestler, but you know what? She's very slowly impressing me and coming into her own as a legitimate competitor. And the whole thing with Gail was supposed to happen tonight. We never even saw that match. That match didn't happen, as far as we know.
Yeah.
It may have been a
I
free-for-all.
think that was supposed to be for Impact this coming week. I don't think that was actually set for the paper.
Okay, well then we'll see it Thursday. And I look forward to it because Gail's one of the best ever, and Miss Tessmacher, like I said, is very much coming into her own.
And at the end of the day, even though there aren't really women in the X Division for whatever reason, ODB and Brooke qualify for the division.
Yeah.
They qualify with the weight limit. So everybody that qualifies to compete in the X Division right now for the championship is a champion.
Let's hope that with this happening, the whole Bischoff weight limit goes back, and it's not about weight limits, it's about no limits. Let's hope that happens now.
I would like to see Joe get back in the X Division.
Yes. After the Bound for Glory series.
Yes.
Because Joe needs to go close to, if not all the way, in this Bound for Glory series. Redeem himself from last year's nonsense. But what a pay-per-view. You have heard us on this channel lampoon TNA for their writing, for their booking, for their just god-awful garbage they presented. And the last 2 months, Slammiversary and this month and everything in between, they have, I dare say, outdone WWE in terms of booking and strategies and things like that to lead into and after pay-per-views.
Yeah. Maybe not as far as production value goes, but as far as, like you said, booking and match quality and all that stuff. The Russo era definitely appears to be dead, and whoever their head booker is right now is on the right page. They just need to stay the course and remember the fact that it was the goddamn motherfucking X Division that put your piece of shit Tennessee company on the fucking map in the first place.
Yeah.
Tell us how you really feel.
That's right.
Thought I just did. And they need to keep this going.
Oh my God.
They need to keep scouting the circuit, bringing in new guys like Johnny Yuma, like Scorpio Sky, like Joey Ryan. Did anybody else notice the fact that Taz and his little midget Oompa Loompa fat ass wasn't sitting behind the announcer table?
Yeah, he made a very disparaging comment toward Johnny Yuma the other night. He literally said that the move he did in the ring sucked. You don't do that shit as an announcer. You just don't do it.
Unless you're going to make money off of it.
Like
In the past, Jerry Lawler,
Mhm.
you know, prime example was 3 of them. Bret Hart,
Yep.
totally tried to bury Bret Hart, had that great feud with him.
Yep.
ECW tried to bury them, extremely crappy wrestling,
Yep.
still able to get in the ring and back his mouth up.
Yep.
And most recently, The Miz.
Yeah.
He was a big vocal person against The Miz and saying that The Miz was a piece of shit, and
Yep.
got into the ring and backed up his talk. Miz won, ECW won, Bret Hart won, but at least he put his fucking money where his mouth was.
Yes.
Taz has got a
Exactly.
broken neck that apparently can't be repaired Jesse Sorensen style.
Yes, exactly.
So Taz just needs to shut the fuck up and let the youngsters handle it.
Exactly. I agree. To answer your question, the man in charge of booking is currently Bruce Pritchard, which says a lot.
That
Because Bruce Pritchard
Yeah.
was Vince's right-hand man forever. And look how the old WWF did in the times Bruce Pritchard was there. So that explains, with the collaboration of 2 men who have been big help, Dave Lagana, who used to write SmackDown and has been a big NWA guy in the years, and Matt Conway, who has been behind the scenes of TNA a lot and behind the scenes of wrestling a lot, period.
There
Those
we
3
go.
guys have the mind, man, so they're doing a good thing.
So, that is our post Destination X show. What did y'all think? Out of a 10, I'm going to give Destination X a 9.5. The only flaw that I found in it was the whole Zima Ion thing.
Yes.
And that's only from a personal, not a professional standpoint.
I agree with that, and we talked about it the other day about if the Kenny and King thing is a storyline, then he
They
should have been
seriously
changed.
dropped the ball.
But you know what? The fact that he didn't win leads me to believe that what happened to Ring of Honor was like legit, and like they didn't want to stir too much shit up just yet about it.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens come Thursday.
Exactly. We'll see how this all plays out. Let us know what you thought. Post your comments, your video responses to this.
Yes.
Let us know how you felt about Destination X. We will be eager to see. We'll be hitting you with 2 more Dads on Wrestlings this week, a review of Mick Foley's book,
Yes.
Have a Nice Day, A Tale of Blood and Sweat Socks, as well as our Money in the Bank predictions live from Long Beach Clothing Company, 4218 Atlantic Avenue. And we will see you on later this week on Casa D18 Studios.